All right, welcome fifth graders. Today's learning target will be finding area of shapes with fractional sides. So to go back to area, as you can see, I wrote down some things here. When we're finding area, we're finding the area of a two-dimensional shape. Sometimes you see length times width, base times height, length times height, base times width, right? Depends on what you're measuring, but you know you have two measurements. Okay, we're multiplying two different things to find the area. Okay, and we saw a lot of these with volume, because with volume, you're finding the amount of space within a three-dimensional shape, which is why it's centimeters cubed, inches cubed, because it's three-dimensional. When we're finding area of a shape, right, we're finding this inside area, it's two-dimensional, so it is squared. All our units are squared. So if we look down here, I drew a little picture, and look at the top one. So as you can see, it's 4 long, right? 1, 2, 3, a half and a half. And then it's by a 1, 2, 3. So a 4 by 3, right? If we're thinking the length is 4, the width is 3, we know that our area is 12 units squared. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 and a half, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, 12. Pretty simple concept. This is an easy one. We look down at this one, we have 6.5 by 3. And so we have to be aware of a couple things, right? We know that, well, a 6 by 3 is 18, right? So this whole space, sorry if my hand is shaking, is 18, right? And then we have 18 and a half, 19, 19 and a half. So our answer, the area of this space, is 19 and a half units, because I didn't really say it was centimeters or whatever, so just units squared. All right, fairly simple concept. Let's try a harder one, though. And so this is something that's going to be helpful to you, is drawing these pictures. So what if I said you had a length of 6 1/3 and a width of 4 1/4. This is where things get tricky. So, yes and no. I say they're tricky, but not really. So, I know I'm going to draw 6 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. And I know I can make this last part 1/3. Okay, and it's pretty important you label it, because, like, we know these are holes. You don't have to label it every time. As long as you know they're holes, you can. You could have wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 1/3. And then I know I have 4 1/4. So I have 1. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold a phone and do the same time. 2, 3, 4. And then I know this last bottom part is 1/4. All right. So how do we go from here? Well, when we think about this, we have 4 up here, right? We have 6 up here. So what is 6 times 4? Anybody? Anybody? 24. Yeah, so we have 24 units squared in there. But is that the whole space? No, we have these bottom parts. And this top part, right? So this is where we have to start thinking about, okay, well, what are these? These are all 1s, right? And I know I wrote out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we all know these are all 1s. So when I think about what is 1 times 1/3? Well, it's 1/3, Mr. Benoit. So that means this is 1/3, right? This is 1/3, right? Because these are all 1s too. Vice versa over here. This is a 1 and 1/4, so this is going to be 1/4. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Because again, aren't those 1 times 1/4 is 1/4. 1 times 1/4 is 1/4, etc., etc. 1 times 1/3 is 1/3. 1 times 1/3 is 1/3. 1 times 1/3 is 1/3. And then this bottom one's going to be a little different. Notice how it's a little bit smaller than the rest of them. What is 1/3 times 1/4? Well, you guys are pretty good with fractions. We multiply the numerators and the denominators to get 1/12. So now we have to figure out, okay, well, I know 4/4 makes a whole, right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one whole. And then 2/4 left. So I know I have 1 2/4 units squared. I know 3 of these make a whole. So 1, 2, 3 with 1 left over. So I have 1 1/3 units squared. And then I have my 1/12. Okay. Again, this is just a method of solving this. I'm going to show you guys a different method too. So, and this kind of, but I like the pictorial here because it explains the area to you. So we can add the wholes up, right? 24 plus 25 plus 1 is 26. So we have 26. But now we have to combine our units. So we have 2/4, which, yes, I know some of you are saying, Mr. Benoit, it's 1/2, it's 1/2. But we're not going to worry about that just yet. Plus 1/3 and 1/12. We have to find a common denominator. So even though I know some of you probably know it already and you're shouting it out in this video, which is awesome, it's even better that I can't hear you. Just kidding. But we can obviously write out our factors. So we have 3, 4, and 12. And find a common factor by counting by 3, 6, 9, 8, 12. Ooh, 12 and 12, and 12. So we know 12 is a common denominator. So to turn 2/4 into 12ths, we would times it by 1, 2, 3. So we're going to times this by 3/3, which gives us 6/12, which makes sense because 6/12 is just like a half. Plus, to get 3, we have to times it by 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to times this by 4/4, which turns out to be 4/12, plus 1/12, which gives us 11/12. So we know our answer is 26 11/12 units squared. Now, again, I know some of you would like this method. It will help you. But I also know some of you are very mathematical. And just like, you're like, Mr. Benoit, listen, if I'm finding the area, I'm just going to times the length by the width. I don't need this picture. And that is fine. But the picture, today you're going to use the picture because I really want you to see it. Obviously, you could have multiplied these. You could have done 6 1/3 times 4 1/4, which we know that we can do this in a couple ways, right? We could do the box, which, one sec. And so we know 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 1/4 is 6/4, which gives you your 1 2/4 up here. 4 times 1/3 is 4/3, which gives you your 1 1/3 here. And 1/3 times 1/4 is 1/12, which gives you your 1/12 there. Really, that's all we did, right? But this is just kind of a quicker method than drawing this big thing out. But again, I want you to show the area today, okay? The other way you could have done this is you could have made them improper fractions. So 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1, so we have 19/3 as an improper fraction. Times 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17/4. Okay, and then we could have multiplied out. I know 3 times 14 is 30 plus 12, which is 42. And then I know 20 times 17 would be 340 minus 17, because we only have 19 17s, not 20. So that would be 330, 323. And then you could simplify it out from there, which would, when you simplify it out, it would come out to be 26 and 11/12. I'm not going to spend my time doing that. If you're really itching for me to do it, I'll do it on Friday when we go over it, all right? But this is what we're looking at today. And this should be a review to a lot of you with working with fractions. But now it's applying it to finding area. So in your books today, you are going to go, let me pull it up. To lesson 10. Okay. And you're going to notice in your books that they don't give you the rectangle A, rectangle B, and rectangle D and E. I am going to give those to you, so please look for them. I'm looking for you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is it, the first page. You do not need to do 6. You do not need to do 7. You just need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right? Best of luck.